This is the I Love Success podcast. I'm Peter Jumrukovsky, and I have made a vow to myself to help as many people as possible to achieve their dreams. Let's get started. This week's guest is a medical miracle. Not only is he one of 4 people alive with a rare genetic condition, Hanhart Syndrome, the inspirational keynote speaker is an internationally known bodybuilder and fitness model, despite missing both his legs and one arm since birth. He shares his amazing story with high energy, showing people that anyone can thrive if they have the determination and willpower to go after what they want. Welcome, Nick Santonastasso.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm so grateful to be here with you. We're in West Hollywood. We're looking out over this view. We're going to talk about life, about you, and honoring your journey to inspire others. So
absolutely.
Thanks.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm excited.
And your last name is so exotic, man. I love to say Santonastasso.
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, 13 letters. So it's
Wow.
Italian, and it wasn't the easiest to learn as a kid, but
Yeah.
they started me with some challenges with my last name. So
That's great. I know my last name, Jumrukovsky, is like I've heard all different types of spellings.
yeah.
But I love it. It's kind of cool.
How many letters?
It's I don't even know, man, but I think it's 11. Jumrukovski. Yeah, I got it right.
11.
Yeah, so you beat me there.
2 by 2.
So before we go deep, I want to talk about Nick Santonastasso when he was born. Can you just share a little bit about like when you were born in the early years, kind of to get an understanding of who you were at that point?
Yeah, so when my mom was pregnant with me, they classified me with Hanhart Syndrome. So Hanhart Syndrome is a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And so, like you were saying in the intro, at the time of my birth, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of 12, 8 of them have passed away due to undeveloped organs. So, the babies are born and they can't breathe on their own, they can't eat on their own, and they later on pass away. And so, they told my parents that your baby boy has about a 30% chance to live. And, I tell people that my parents promised each other that they were going to focus on the 70% rather than that 30%, because, focusing on the negative will never serve you, regardless of what situation you're in. Like, focusing on the negative does nothing for you. And so my parents decided that, okay, we're going to focus on, the chance that he's going to be alive rather than the chance that he's not going to, live. And so they stayed up every night and, just hope for the best. And when my mom had a C-section. So my mom had a C-section, and when I was born, the first thing they did test on my organs to see if my organs were going to be 100% healthy, and they came back 100% healthy. And so the only thing that was affected were my limbs. And so, like you said, I was born with no legs and one arm, and just grateful to be alive and grateful to have healthy organs.
Yeah, I mean that's a mindset, and I know you're talking a lot about mindset and having. We talk about negative things, and we all tend to focus a lot on negative things. And then I saw you like online, and I just got like, wow, how does this guy do that? And because we can get a bad comment on Instagram, and we forget about all the other positive things. How do you do that?
Well, so just you have to be very choosy of what you attach your energy to. What you attach your energy to, what you focus your energy on, the people you surround yourself with, the things you watch, the things you look on your phone. Like, you have to be very, very choosy of what you spend your time on. And so I think it's just like everything else in life, it's a muscle, right? We build this muscle up by, surrounding ourselves with the right people, by not looking at negative stuff on our phone. And just like, you have to retrain yourself, because as society, we're primed. I mean, like, you look on news and it's all negative stuff, and you look on your phone and it's all negative stuff. Like, we're primed as human beings to just always focus on the negative and focus on what we don't have or our weaknesses. And so it's going to take some time for people to retrain their mind, right? You have to reprogram yourself, and that's by repetition. That's by, like I said, surrounding yourself with the right people and not letting, negative anything into your mind. So you have to be very, very self-conscious, or not self-conscious, very just aware of what you're allowing into your brain, right?
Do you remember a point in your life when you that kind of clicked for you, or what, were you always that kind of positive kid?
No, I wasn't always that positive kid. You know, growing up, my parents did a key thing, and basically they were like, listen, the world's not going to adapt to you. You're going to have to adapt to the world. And so things are going to be hard. You're going to fall down, but you know, you'll be able to get it eventually. And so my parents would put things in front of me and put challenges in front of me and put my food and my clothes and say, you know, figure it out. And I think that was the biggest advantage I had, because they helped me exercise the muscle of doing hard things. And so we talk about the exercising the muscle of not letting negative stuff into your life. Well, when I was born, I exercised the muscle of doing hard things, because everything I tried, I fell down at. You know, nothing I was ever just perfect at or amazing at. You know, every time I tried to eat food, every time I tried to put on my shirt, you know, get on a chair, you know, I fell. And so I think that you can ask yourself, like, are you exercising the muscle of doing hard things? Like, are you putting yourself in the situations or the environment to level yourself up, or you're kind of staying in your comfort zone? And so, but I think that's the same thing with, you know, the negative thoughts and the negative people. It's just like, you need to work on it. Like, you need to work on, like, it's not just, you're not going to snap your fingers and wake up and like have your little friend group and this amazing tribe around you and like a whole positive bubble. Like, you need to work on it.
Yeah, and you have to be able to do the things that where you're in a position to actually fail, right?
Yeah.
For you kind of like failed many times every day to do this task that a lot of other people takes for granted, right? And I know, as an athlete and a martial artist, like when I went and fought guys that were much better than me, and I know you done that too in wrestling, it's like you lose, and then you can either choose, okay, should I focus on that? Should I give up? Or should I learn from this and move forward? But most people quit, you know. Why do you think you have made like a positive impact in your life instead of just feeling like a victim, you know?
Yeah, I think I was just, I'm not a quitter. And I think maybe the reason that said is because my whole life people always put limits on me, and people always said, like, you never be able to do this or you never be able to do that. And so maybe people aren't motivated, or maybe people don't have a big enough vision that pulls them, that when they fall down, they don't have anything to envision. So they're just like, all right, I quit. But I think it's just people aren't comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, people don't like being in those situations. People don't like failing. One of the biggest fears in the world is fear of failure. Like, people don't like doing that stuff, and so they kind of veer away from it, and they don't take challenges head on. They kind of just beat around the bush. And so I think that, you know, people need to shift their perspective on failure, and realize that this is something that will pivot you. You know, like, failure is not negative. I quote Nelson Mandela, and he says, I don't lose, I only win or learn. And so when you view life as like winning or learning, like, there is no loss. I always tell people there's always one good piece of information that you can pull out of any event, whether that was, you know, a death in the family, or whether that was a financial burden. Like, anything negative that happened in your life that you think's negative, like, you can always pull one good thing from that event, which makes that loss into a W. Like, and so when you view life as that, you don't have a big of fear of failure, because you know that stuff's going to pivot you. You know that stuff's going to transform you and evolve you. But if you don't have that perspective and looking at failure as a negative thing, then you would veer away from those challenges, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, it's so interesting. I love the mind, and I know you're big into the mind, because of course we're thinking about, okay, you were born with not an able body, but you are able, and your mind is so much more than how we look. And we're in a world right now where we tend to look at people that have a different skin color or different religious beliefs or whatever it is. We can always find differences, right? But the mind is such a strong tool, and I love that you have taken the time to really work on this. Do you think, because you're a big athlete, you did bowling, wrestling, and bodybuilding, can you just talk about that? Do you think that changed your mindset, like going in and challenging yourself?
Yeah, I think there's no growth where you're just comfortable, right? I mean, everyone knows that. And so it's just like, if you never push yourself physically, you're never going to get stronger. But if you don't push yourself mentally, you're never going to get mentally stronger. And so I just don't, I think people aren't putting themselves in the situations, those uncomfortable situations that help them level up. And so, like I said, everything that I tried, it was just like, I knew going into everything that it was going to be hard. And so, like, I think nowadays, like, when things get hard, people just quit. They don't have that armor, that over time, that stuff we've built by just doing hard things over and over and over again. I don't think they have that because they're not exposing themselves to those situations. And so, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I'm so curious about this kid that started wrestling, because you wanted to be a part of your friends, right? Because where do you get that courage, because if I start wrestling, I'm gonna get smashed, but still there's something in you that says I'm gonna do this. Can you just talk about that and like how that changed you?
Yeah, and this is typical LA with like sirens and stuff running around.
I know, this is so
no worries. So my older brother was a wrestler. So he was a wrestler. I'd always go to his matches, and I just looked up to him. And so, but like growing up, like I didn't realize too much that I was different. And so like my family treated me normal, and my friends treated me normal. Like my siblings beat me up, and like things weren't different for me. And that was probably the biggest advantage, and the best thing my parents could do was like, okay, like, you're normal. Like, okay, you're a little different, but you're normal, like you're just going to do everything on your own, or you're going to do everything that the kids do, and they're going to beat you up, and like, things just are normal. And so I think I never thought that I didn't have a chance, if that makes sense. Like with wrestling, I was like, okay, well, it's going to be hard, but like I could do it. There was always that self-belief. It wasn't much self-belief at that time, but it was like, all right, well, enough to do it. And so I think that's super important. It's like people don't believe that they're capable of doing things. And so like it's just limiting beliefs. That's what hold us all back. Like we all struggle with the same things. We all go through the same things. And so, with wrestling, I just was like, all right, like I could do it. I could do it. But at the time, this arm was growing. My bone was growing faster than my skin. And so I couldn't do physical activities with this arm. And so like I couldn't touch it on things, and I'd always tuck my arm because if I would have hit my arm hard enough, my bone would have came through my skin. And so I was at the super low point in my life, like total victim mentality of like, why me? There's millions of people born each and every day. Like, why do I have to be born like this?
How old were you at this point?
I was 13, 14, 15, 16, like those age. Just like I didn't understand. I didn't get it. And in middle school and high school, you want to ride bikes with the kids, right? And I couldn't ride bikes with the kids, and kids thought I was slower because I was in a wheelchair, and there was just so much going on. And there wasn't much bullying, but there was always the teasing and the little things, the name calling and everything. And so that was like a super low point. And so I also think some of my motivation came from me like wanting to get out of such a dark place, and like being like, okay, well, because I realized that no one was coming to save me. Like, I'm in this dark place, and I'm not happy, and I'm not confident, and I'm not doing something that I love. But like, okay, like you can complain about it, or you can go out and like figure it out, because no one's coming. There's no superhero. Superman's not coming to save you. And so that was another motivation for me to do wrestling, because I was like, all right, well, I could be called a wrestler, and that would instill confidence in me, and wrestlers are cool, and like I thought it was just cool. Like I'd feel better about myself. And so I think there was a couple things that stemmed from wrestling, but it was more of like I need to get out of this dark place, and but there was some self-belief that I could do it.
And I love that you found, like, you took that little courage and actually did it. And what advice do you want to tell other people that feel like they're in the victim mentality, and they want to do something with their life, but they can't? When I say can't, because they have built that mindset because they're from a poor family, or they're living in a country where no one has ever started a podcast or became an international speaker or a world champion of anything, or whatever it is. What type of tips would you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, first off, like, just a lot of people ask me or, you know, come up to me and say, I don't know my why, or I don't know like what's my passion. I don't know what I love to do. Well, I'm just like, try new things. Like, for example, like we've a couple months ago, we thought of an idea that I would be able to get on a snowboard, and like if we built the right snowboard, and it was just an idea. And now, like 2 weeks ago, I snowboarded for the first time, and like now it's a thing, and now it's a hobby, and now it's real, and now it's something I could do with my friends, and now I have this whole different independent, you know, hobby that I can do. I can shred down a mountain. But like, if I never believed that it was capable of happening, that it would never happen. Or if I never opened my mouth to express my idea to see if I could make it come alive, it would never happen. And so, you know, like there's a quote, like, if there isn't a path, you create one. You know, if you create one. And so, like, okay, well, if you're in a country and no one's ever did what you want to do, we'll be the first to do it. But like I said, we're crippled by our mind. We're crippled by the thoughts that, you know, like, I can't do this because I'm from this country. Or I can't do this because I'm too young. I can't do this because I don't have enough college experience. Like, these are all the things that just freeze you. And so I much rather, the advice I have to say is, I much rather like be in the trenches and at least attempt something that I want to pursue than be on the sideline frozen and crippled by my mind. And so, you know, we'd feel better like failing but like attempting than sitting on the sideline and not moving at all, right? And so my suggestion would be that just to get moving, just to get started anywhere, you know, whether that's learning from videos or whether that's learning from books. If you can't get to a mentor, like read their book or watch their videos, but just do something, because, you know, sitting on the sideline doesn't do anything. But when you're in the field and you're failing, at least you're in the field, like trying, like you're doing 99% more than the people that are sitting on the sideline. So I'd say get moving.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we want the people, what I want to do with the podcast, I want to get the people from the arena down to the field. Like, we're going to do this. Don't just sit and listen to a podcast all day. Listen and then get the fuck out of here and do something with your life, right? And that's what I am so passionate about this, because what is really winning? It's all a definition of our mind, right? Because once you decide to do something, you're gonna probably improve. Isn't that winning?
Yeah,
in
progress.
some sense, progress is winning, right?
Yeah.
And if we always compare ourselves to each other, I think it's good to a certain extent because it pushes you, but you can never win that race.
You never
right?
win.
So how do you work with that mindset of competing against yourself? Because I know as a wrestler, when you were a kid, you did all this, like you told your friends, don't hold anything back. Like, where did that come from?
It's just like, it was the same way my parents raised me. You know, if my parents always held back and coddled me, like, I wouldn't be the man I am today, or wouldn't have the mindset I do today. And so, like, just like, don't hold back, like, treat someone as their normal. For me, you know, I wanted to get beat up, because if people held back on me, I wouldn't really know what it felt like to get beat up. You know, like, I didn't want to go on the mat and get surprised when I get mauled over my head and, like, you know, flipped and slammed on the mat. Like, do it in practice, so like, I'm aware of it, right? Like, started exercising the muscle of getting my butt kicked. Like, everything's a muscle. Like, we're just like exercising things. So, like, had to go in the room and get my butt kicked a couple times so I knew what it felt like, you know, so I didn't get, you know, blindsided when it was time to get on the mat.
And I mean, you even amputated a small part of your arm, right, to be able to start wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, who does that, man? You have to have so much courage.
Yeah, I just, you know, I saw that I had the ability to change my life. You know, like, I took advantage of the opportunity, I took advantage of the time. I was just like, you know, my arm, the way it wasn't serving me. It was holding me back. It was kind of diminishing the quality of my life. Like, it had the potential to pivot me. And so, you know, for me, it's just taking advantage of the moment that I was like, all right, this can transform my life. And so, but even in day to day, like, if people are having, you know, a negative mindset and they're not practicing gratitude and they don't have, you know, a negative outlook, then you'll be more inclined to miss opportunities that will be able to pivot you and evolve you, right? Because you'll be so focused on the negative and focused on everything, your eyes won't be open to the opportunities that are right in front of you. And so that's also a big thing about, you know, mindset. Like, I think people with negative mindsets are less inclined to see opportunities because they're just, you know, so focused on some negative thing going through their head, right?
And how, like, what do you do on a daily basis to work on your mindset? Because it looks like you're a very happy guy, but you must be like me. You must cry sometimes. Sometimes you are pissed off on life, right? And it's a hassle. What do you do to like change that?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because like my dad has like, when he was young he had a rough temper, and then like my brother had like a rough temper, and
You're Italian, right?
Yeah, we're Italian, right? We freak out over nothing. And so like I think for me the strongest tool is self-awareness, and that's realizing like when you do something that's kind of messed up, right? Or when you do something that's wrong, you're like, okay, I need to fix that. Or, you know, that's kind of like dropping your ego and like just being super honest with yourself. Be like, okay, like what's wrong with me? Like, why do I do this? Why does this trigger me? Like, how can I stop this from pissing me off? Like, you know, just being aware of your actions and how you can change them. And so for me, it's just like being very aware and conscious of my actions and how they react to other people, and then be like, okay, like could I have done that better, or could I have reacted a different way? And also, I think each and every day, like life gives us kind of like you know, an obstacle course each and every day to just like exercise your mind. Like you get tested, right? Like we get tested by so many things each and every day, and so it's like, you know, you always have every day you wake up like in an opportunity to level up your mind, because like you're sitting in traffic, right? And like you can either get pissed off at traffic, which doesn't help you, or you can just kind of like chill out, you know?
What do you do in that moment when you're like, fuck, life is not treating me well right now? Like, do you have some kind of tool that you do, or you like?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the most powerful thing for me is that I'm alive. I'm alive and I'm gonna die. Like, how aggressive is that, right? Like, I'm alive, and like, why should I be upset over something that's already happened? Like, I should probably just move on and not hold that emotion over here. Like, let's just move on. Like, I've come to realize that the way to be the happiest in life is just be so easygoing. Just like go with the flow. To be honest, like go with the flow. Like, adapt and overcome. Like, you're gonna have a plan in life, or you're gonna have a plan in business, or whatever you're doing, and the majority of the time it's not gonna go the way you want it to go, right? So it's just like, all right, like, let that smack me in the face, and then like I just like move forward. Like, I just like, what's next? And I don't let things get me down. And even in those moments when I'm pissed off and everything, I think perspective and gratitude will ground us always. I think perspective and gratitude is extremely important. Like, you know, like I could be having such a bad day, and I could be driving in my car and then look over and there's a guy sleeping on the sidewalk. Like, what do I have to complain about? I don't have anything to complain about. Like, in the grand scheme of the world and the universe, like if we each and every person put their problems down on a table, like, they're not problems. We create our own problems, and we create our own stresses. Like, perspective and gratitude will ground us. Like, perspective's everything.
I love that. And I'm a lot into karate, and the old samurais, they used to meditate on death every day. So they woke up, shaved, got dressed, and then they went to battle, right? And they didn't know if they are coming home to kiss their wife at night. So they had that mindset, like, I might gonna die today, you know. And sometimes I meditate on that too, because it makes me want to do something better in this world, because we are not guaranteed, right? We're pretty high up now with this. Something might happen, but hopefully not. So you talked about getting smacked in the face. What has been the biggest smack in your face in your life, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, I would say one of my biggest triggers, middle school and high school, I think. You know, so in middle school and high school, not only is it the most judgmental time of our lives and, you know, your kids' lives, but gaining love, gaining like attraction from girls. I think that was probably my biggest trigger for suicidal thoughts and everything. Because you go into middle school and your high school and your friends, you know, have girlfriends and stuff, and like no one really didn't mess around with me. And kind of just like a friend, and you know, you crave that love, and you see other people getting it, and you don't get it, and so like all these thoughts going through my head that, like I'm disgusting and I can't, walk a girl to her locker. I can't hold her books for her. I can't hold her hand. What happens if she doesn't want to hold my hand because I have a finger? Like, you like just a million thoughts come rushing through your head, and they sink you down to this really low point in your life. And you just think the only way out is just like, all right, well, I'm just going to, take my life. It'll be super quick and, we'll be done with it. And so I think even still to this day, like, we struggle with things, and I still struggle, like everyone struggles with things, so struggling with girls and whatnot. But I think the biggest thing for me was attaching an empowering meaning behind it rather than a disempowering meaning. And so what I mean by that is, okay, girls don't like me, it's not because I'm different, but my case is helping me, because if a girl doesn't like me for what I am, then it's an organic filter, and that's not the type of girl I want to be around anyway. So it's actually helping me.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's just attaching an empowering meaning behind it rather than disempowering, and I think it changes the game.
Yeah, I mean, just to share a little bit of my story, I was like the same. No girl wanted me, and I felt so weird, and you crave love, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We all do. Like, I've had over 100 guests on my podcast, and you would imagine the people that do the craziest shit to become successful is that just because they want to be loved.
Yeah.
That's why some people go to the extent to become Olympic medalists, because they believe that I will be loved when I am a Olympic champion or whatever it is. So we all crave that, and it's so difficult for all of us in different ways, right? And it's all about the mind. And I didn't know what happened with my life, and the whole reason why I have this podcast now is because I read a book called The Game. I don't know if you read it.
Yeah.
So that started with like, okay, can we pick up girls? But what I realized was that was all good to talk to someone, but you have to change yourself. And that's when I went on this journey of self-discovery and self-development. And it's not easy to start loving yourself, right?
Yeah.
How have you worked with that? Do you love yourself?
Yeah, I think in middle school and high school, I don't know if I love myself. I kind of just was like, accepted the fact that I was there and this was the way I was. And no, like, I mean, what would you think the definition of loving yourself is? If you could let me know.
Yeah, so for me, I'm still struggling with that,
Yeah.
to be quite honest. But I think it is accepting yourself for who you are and striving to be better, not to impress someone, but because you want to.
Yeah.
And authentically expressing yourself as a human being. Just like one of my biggest idols is Bruce Lee, and he talked about the art of expressing the human body. But I also believe when we express ourselves authentically as we are and are okay with that,
Yeah.
that somehow, I don't know if I'm on the right track, but
Yeah,
I'm
no,
still
you're
exploring that.
Yeah, so I think in high school, like, there's so much going on, and you know so much judgment, and probably didn't know who I was, or who I was truly as a person when I was in high school. I think now, after wrestling and doing the pranking, and basically, like, without boasting, like, everything that I said I was gonna do, I've done.
Yeah.
Like, everything that I've set out to do, I've already done. And so I think through just like achieving like these little goals over time, like, now I think I'm amazing.
Yeah.
To be
That's
honest, like, I
awesome.
love myself. Like, I love myself. I know what I'm capable of doing, and I know the value I bring to people, and I know the energy that I bring, and the love and the contribution that I give. And so I think I've worked on myself. Yeah, I've definitely built this person up, like this new Nick. But I think that was kind of like an outcome of me just continuously just keeping my word within myself and saying, like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do it, and then you achieve it. Just setting these little steps, and just like keeping your word within yourself. Ed Milet talks about like confidence. Confidence is the reputation you have within yourself, and so how you build that is you just keep your word, like self-integrity. You just do something, and then you achieve it, and you pat yourself on the back, and you mentally applaud yourself, and you just keep building yourself over time. And like confidence, like, that's having a relationship that's so good within yourself that you don't care what anyone else thinks of you.
Yeah.
And so at this point in my life, like, I could care what anyone else thinks of me, to be honest.
I mean,
like, I'm me, and now I'm me.
That's awesome.
I'm in my element.
And to, we are all struggling, that's the truth.
Every day.
Every day. And it's
With the
especially
same
with
stuff.
this, yeah, with the same stuff, no matter how we look, how we think, like
How much money you have, it's the same thing.
it's the same, like but that's what creates an interesting life, right? Because I listened to a guy, he studies mental performance, and he said, like, if you don't have any problems, you don't grow.
Yeah.
The only people that don't have any problems are the dead ones, right? And you grow, so you should embrace having big problems, because that means like you're
doing
creating
something right.
something, you're doing something right? So you talked about goals, and I'm big to goals. I even wrote a book about goal settings called The Goal Book. And can you just talk, how do you work with goals, and what kind of like tools would you recommend the people that are watching and listening to this to use to accomplish these goals? Because it seems like you are very good at this.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in manifestation and vision boards. And so kind of, like I said, having that vision that pulls you, even on those low days, you have something to, look at or think about. And so, like, for example, like the background on my phone is the Beijing Olympic Stadium, and it holds 100,000 people. And that's my goal, to sell it out in 3 years in China. And so, like, instead of just like thinking about that goal, like every time I look at my phone, I see that goal. And so I'm just always like putting it in my subconscious. And I'm like, now I'm more inclined to see opportunities that will help me with that goal. And so vision boards, Ratmir has on the back of his phone, all his 5 goals so he sees them all the time. And so I think just going back to like clarity is power. And so, the more clarity you have on what you want, is the faster you'll get it. And so we do that. Also, I think setting not only yearly goals, but like quarterly goals. Right now, like for the company, like we're going to be setting quarterly goals, like what we want to hit quarterly, and then, yearly goals. And just like I said, I think it goes back to clarity. It's just having a super clear vision of at least what you want. And then once you have that, you kind of reverse engineer it and just be like, okay, what do I have to do to obtain these things? Break it down backwards.
And I mean, how did you gain clarity? But because it feels like we're living in a world where there's so much unclarity and there's so much things grabbing for our attention all the time. How did you gain that clarity?
It's kind of prioritizing, seeing, like what are the main things that you need to work on that are going to move the needle forward? Like whatever you're focusing your energy on. Like for me, right, like speaking, like trying to build a speaking company and being a model and being a fitness person and being an Instagram dude, like there's a lot of things going on. And so you kind of have to prioritize and see like, where you should put your time, and also like being, delegating, like, entrepreneurs, like that's what we do, is we delegate. Like if we don't have time for something, or we don't have time to learn something, or, I need to focus my energy on, marketing, well, I'll delegate someone for numbers because I don't know how to do them. Like, I think we just need to be smart on focusing on our strengths. And like I said, right, we're not only primed to focus on all the negative, but we're primed to focus on our weaknesses. Yeah. And like only see like, well, I'm not good at this and this and this. Well, okay, that's okay. Let's just focus on your strengths. Yeah. But we're not taught to do that. We're taught to like bring up our weaknesses and let's work on our weaknesses. Well, okay, well, I excel in this. Why don't I just focus on this? Yeah, and so I think it's just, not, like I said, back to clarity, but realizing like what you're good at and like how you can suck out as much value of your strengths, and then just find people to plug in for the rest of the things that you're not good at.
And it's awesome. You're building this company with your friends, right?
Yeah.
You're traveling the world with your best dudes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so happy for you and
Thank
for
you.
your friends, like doing this. It's awesome, right?
Yeah, we're like married.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's good. But it's a big learning experience. But like I said, one of the things that makes me feel good is being able to, give people experiences that, maybe they never thought they have, or, just living a crazy life. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity to like be able to goof around all over the world with my friends.
That's awesome.
But inspire people too, and be serious sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I think I saw some of your like the zombie video when in the beginning where you made people laugh.
The beginning, Nick.
Yeah, the beginning, Nick. And then you said, okay, I want to change. I want to actually motivate as well. And You're doing great, man.
Thanks.
Can you just talk about why Beijing and why 100,000 people?
Yeah. So we just got back from our last China tour a couple weeks ago. I'm really bad with like dates. The guys always make fun of me because I'll be like, a couple weeks ago, and it was like a year ago. But it really was a couple years ago. I mean, a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, we just got back from our China tour, and so.
How did you get any speaking engagement in China?
Yeah, so we reached out from people that represent speakers in China, and they were like, you know, they've been looking for the next thing, and they're like, dude, we want you out here. And so I lived life with no expectations, and then finally, you know, our China agent flew out to Tampa. I was like, okay, this is real. Yeah. This is actually happening. And then I started learning Chinese, Mandarin, and we kind of recrafted the story. But anyway, we went out there for, you know, probably like a five city tour or 6 city tour. And then the one city, like 10,000 people, it was a 10,000 people event. And, but I think over there that like people maybe in the Asia territory aren't exposed to people like me. And what I mean by that is I think that people that are disabled are either aborted or killed or institutionalized. And so people aren't really exposed to what they're capable of doing. And so like we go back to perspective, like if you've never seen a man with no legs and one arm doing what I'm doing, then you would never believe it would be possible, right? Yeah. Until you see it.
That's incredible. And how did you do it in Mandarin?
So basically, I would say an English sentence, and my translator would translate it. But I learned like how to say like my name and like welcoming the city, because it's like a respect factor over there, right? You took the time to learn their language, and if you say it really well, you know they'll know what you're saying and they'll love it.
What an amazing experience! Have you done any other countries?
Yeah, we've been to Canada. We've been to Mexico. We're doing Italy in June. I've been to Japan. But definitely trying to tap into, you know, all over, you know, Europe. I haven't been to Europe yet. Yeah. So we're going in June, but I'd love to make it, you know, a Euro tour. That'd be pretty sweet.
And I want to go to Dubai.
Yeah, that's the key word.
That's the key word, right?
Well, see, like even little things like that, right? Yeah. Like watching what you say, like being very conscious of your vocabulary and the words you use. Yeah. Like we don't really use can't. Like people think we're playing around, but we don't use can't and we use yet, and like that hasn't happened yet, or I haven't sold out that stadium yet.
That's so important because it changes.
It's always primary. It's always change. Yeah, you're always just like cultivating your mindset.
For me, like I woke up 5 this morning. I've had so many meetings, done so many things, but I can say I got to do this, or I can say I get to do this. I get to do this. Like it's an experience. I'm gonna be home very late at night, but I had this experience which I will never forget. Yeah. So sleep. I mean, as long as I get a couple hours. Yeah. And take care of my body. Of course, I'm strict with that. But why sit at home and just watch Netflix when you can be out and like meeting people and creating something that actually makes you feel good and makes other people feel good. Yeah, absolutely. And also don't feel bad when you take some time to just chill too, because I think that's a lot of hustlers out there, you know, they just want to go and then, you know, they kind of feel bad when they take that time to just chill, but we need that time to chill. But even like when I'm on a plane, right, and I got so many things going on and we're traveling, I can need to be like, oh man, I'm so tired. Or I could be like, I'm grateful I got things going on. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It's all about how we look at it. That's what life is. It's perspective. Everything's perspective. And I think I like what you said, that we need to take time to chill as well, because we're living in a society when the more is the better and all of that. Can you just talk about that? Is it important to like sometimes have fun? Yeah, for sure. You know, balance is key. I mean, you can always just, you know, a lot, especially with Instagram, right? You see a lot of like entrepreneur things, and it's like, oh, go, I grind and I work 36 hours a day, and you know, like you can't work 36 hours a day. Like it's fake, you know. Like there has to be time where you cool down. There has to be time when you take time for yourself. I look at my analogy for my life is I'm a lantern. And like I want to glow, and I want to give people light and give them light in their darkest days. But if, you know, I don't fuel myself up with the things that I love to do and fuel myself up with Nick time, then I can only give so much light, because I'll be out of juice. Yeah.
you know? And so you have to like view yourself as like a lantern and be like, okay, I give. But like if I don't fill myself up with sitting on the couch and not doing anything, or if I don't fill myself up with playing video games, or if I don't fill myself up by just, you know, hanging out and not doing much, then, you know, I can't recharge. And so I think it's just, you know, talking about taking care of your body, like kind of realizing like when you're like, okay, like I'm gonna chill and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I'm just gonna hang and just kind of like do my thing. But you need to recharge yourself for sure. Do things you love. Do things that make you happy. Do things that you forget to pick up your phone. You know, do things that you time goes by and you're like, oh my God, it's been an hour, 2 hours. Like do more of those. Yeah. Do more of those things. Because I think we just go through the motions.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
And like a week goes by, a month goes by, years go by, and people are like, wow, like it's been 10 years and I've just been going through the motions.
And I mean, like, how did you become so smart, Nick? It's
smart.
Incredible.
I don't know if I'm like, smart, brother.
It feels like you've had a lot of time to contemplate about life. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm smart, to be honest. Yeah. Like I think I'm street smart, maybe. I'm mindset smart. I just like been through a lot of stuff that tests me mentally, you know. I think I know how to just look at the world. You know, you like when people look at me and they're like, oh man, I feel bad for that guy. I'm just like, I feel bad for you, because you know, I always tell people the biggest disability you can have is a bad mindset. Yeah. And so like, you know, I think I just know how to like not let things piss me off anymore. To be honest, you're just being like full like Buddha and just like chilling and just letting things roll off me and just like going with the flow, because like life is way too short to like not laugh all the time. Life's way too short not to like love and like just mess around and you know, just be so caught up and have negative emotions towards like past things and holding grudges. Like I used to like hold grudges and stuff and used to like let things piss me off for a certain period of time. Now I'm just like chilling, you know, and I think I'm the happiest I've been because I've just been chilling.
When did that shift come in your life, and do you remember why?
I think it was gradual. Like now, like I'm obsessed with like the fact, like what is life? Like, what is this?
What is life? Yeah,
what is this? We have no idea. We're floating on a rock and it's spinning around in the middle of nothing, and you have no idea why you're here. Like, why should I get pissed off that there's traffic? Yeah. Like, who cares? Who cares, dude? Like, you know? Like, it's, and I think when I started exposing myself, so I started allowing my mind to wander and start thinking about that stuff and thinking about how vast the universe is and how, like, just evolution and everything. Like, when I that's what I always tell people, like, if every person at least once a day thought about the fact that like you're on Earth, you're on this rock and it's spinning around in the middle of nothing, like you'd probably start crying. You'd probably stop crying about the fact that like you have bad hair or, you know, like the stupidest things in the world. And so I think that change was just from me just exposing my mind and just letting it think and letting it kind of like think about other things and Instagram and how many likes.
Now we're looking out over LA here. It's late and like kind of raining, but
and just think like there's millions and millions of people out there that are like in their own little like simulation and thinking about their own little thoughts and their problems, and you know, it's wild. Like life's way too short. Life is way too short to like care about like things we don't need to care about.
I know, it's so crazy how our mind works, you know. And you said something that I want to touch base on. You said like some people say they feel sorry for you and say I feel sorry for you. Like, how do you handle that when people say that they feel sorry for you?
So this is the part of like Nick evolving, right? Like I used to get pissed off. Like I used to get pissed off when people stared at me. I used to get pissed off, you know, in public, and if someone said they felt bad for me or, you know, called me names. Now like I'll laugh. Like I just like I'm at the point where like my frequency is up here, and like if someone comes up to me and calls me like a crippled or something, I just like dude, you're not even on my level.
It's a muscle, you know? Right, that you have trained. Your mission is much bigger than another person's.
Yeah, my frequency is much higher. My energy is way positive, and like I don't have any interest or any. I know that there's no value in me stooping down. Yeah. You know when I started Vine when I was like an 18-year-old kid, and you know like I would have 20,000 comments on my posts and people are calling me the most disgusting things I've ever heard in my life. Like I used to go back at those people and like comment back to them and think that'll show them. And now like it's just like you don't even acknowledge people. They're just like so low that like you don't even acknowledge them, and they're like, oh my god, he hadn't even acknowledge me. That's how like stupid I sound.
It's,
you know?
It's so crazy.
It's just like your frequency vibrate. You just like elevate yourself. Yeah. You know, and you realize that it's not even worth. You get much more wiser with your energy, bro. Yeah. You just get like, is it really worth my time coming back to this 13-year-old kid?
Yeah. I know, but it's so funny. I had Ryan Serhant, you know, the real estate agent, on my podcast, and he actually saves all hater emails in a specific folder because that gives him fuel.
That's great.
Yeah. I kind of like that idea, but it's like, I don't think I would be able to do it.
I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's
I like it.
Pretty awesome, right?
That's what I tell people, like with the outside noise, right? Like, you know, people get so caught up in people making fun of them or telling them that they're not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, whatever it may be. Yeah. But like, we all have a choice, and that's, we can let the outside noise affect us or drive us. Like, you can either let that get you down and you can get stuck, or you can keep moving, and you can use it as fuel. Like, pick one. There's only one you could pick, and one's backwards and one's forward. Like, what's it gonna be?
And I mean, speaking of what you said, can you just read like your tattoo? I think it's awesome. I listened to a podcast with you on the way over here, and you talked about it, and I just love that saying. So if you want to share that.
Yeah, so my bicep says, you laugh at me because I'm different. I laugh at you because you're all the same. And that's not just like, you know, for me. That's for everyone. That's a for everyone quote, and that's just like embracing your authentic self and like being you, and not, you know, putting on a mask, you know, to try to impress people or to get somewhere. And, you know, life is so much better when you show up you show up you as your authentic self, and you'll attract the right people, you'll attract the right tribe, you'll attract the right opportunities when you show up as your authentic self, because people are going to support you for you and love you for you, rather than, you know, you putting on a mask and trying to be someone else. And so that's just like in everything in life, you know. Just you know,
do your thing,
accept yourself, you know, and with the strengths and weaknesses, like realize what you're not good at and realize what you're good at. Focus on your good, but embrace it all, because it's you.
Yeah. And you talked about your why in the beginning, like we need to have a why as human beings. So what's your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you traveling all over trying to inspire people? I'm not trying, I know you are. Yeah. You're inspiring me here amazingly, but like, why is this so important to you, man?
I think it's so important to me because I've been put on this earth in this wild situation, in this wild, like, you get one life. Like, one life. We only get one human experience, right? As for what we know.
What we know, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I get this one human experience, and they put me in this game with no legs and one arm. Like, let me show people like how to mess stuff up, like, you know, regardless of what hand life has dealt you with. And so it's not only have I realized the opportunity to have in front of me, but like like I label myself as a shifter of perspectives, and that means I just want people to look at the world differently. And so exposing them to the things I do, exposing them to me living my life to the fullest, and they're like, wow, I can live my life to the fullest. I realize the impact I have on people, so that's part of my why. But also, right, like, if I'm able to travel around the world with my friends, motivate and change lives, get compensated for it, and provide financial freedom for me and my family, then, you know, like, I better not sit around and you know, miss out on this opportunity to have. You know. That's and awesome. So I think my why is just like, it's huge, right? It's just like, I want to make, you know, a massive footprint in this world before I leave, but while doing that, you know, bringing my friends along for the ride and providing financial freedom for me, my family, who knows, the family's family. But like, I've realized this super 0.1% chance, like, opportunity that I have in front of me. And just, I think about it all the time. Like, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, wow, I really am born with no legs and one arm. Like, this is real. Yeah. Sometimes I forget. Yeah. Just go through life.
Yeah, but I think that, like, it's so crazy. That's like, I feel what you're saying, because sometimes we forget who we are because we don't take time to look at it, right? We're all...
Yeah, people think I'm cool, and I'm just like, don't think I'm cool. Like, I'm just like, I think I'm just Nick, like, you know?
Yeah.
And people like, it's still crazy, you know? I spoke at an event the other day, and the next day I was going out to the hot tub, and this lady, like, collapsed in my arms, bawling her eyes out, saying, like, change your life forever. Like, a day after the event. And I'm just like, it's unreal, and so like I have to just be aware of like, the superpower. Like it's a superpower. Like what I've been able to do in this body is translated into a superpower that can help people just like be empowered. It's wild.
I mean, yeah.
I wish I could like be you real quick
Yeah.
and interview me.
Yeah.
So I could see what it feels like.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cause it's not fun, you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
Cause like I want to meet Nick.
Yeah.
Like I want to meet Nick from another person. And be like, oh wow, this kid is really pretty cool.
Yeah, I can explain. Let me try to explain it to you. This was actually a good idea. Like, how do I see you? As I see you as a human being. For me, how you were born, that was one thing, right? But now we're talking, and this is in a way like when we're talking about the mind. You have taken your physical disabilities and made your mind stronger, and you have experienced so much more than a lot of people who have 2 arms and 2 legs are doing. So is that really what we are looking for today? Is there a norm for everything? I don't believe in that. I believe we are humans, right? No, you are as beautiful as anyone else. There's a meaning why you were born like this. That's my opinion. So for me, I just see you as a human being. And I mean, I'm super grateful for this opportunity to sit here and talk to you and share this with the world. And why do I want to have you on the podcast? Because I know you had so many hours in your life when you were thinking about like, why me? How can I change my life? How can I develop as a human being? And that's, in a way, that's a gift you have been given, and that's why you're so strong today, right?
So just what you say, just being through so much.
Yeah, you've been through so much, and now you're stronger because of that.
Yeah, like I said, not even just like saying like my life was hard, because I'm not saying my life was hard, right? I just been through a lot of falling down.
Yeah.
I think that's what it sums up to, right? Like I fell on my face a million times to get here. Yeah. And so that does make you stronger mentally and physically, right? Because you build that armor up. I think that's just what I have on other people that maybe aren't, where they want to be, is just I fell on my face a million times to get here. I'm still falling on my face. Like each and every day, we fail, and it's just like,
but no one sees that, right? Everybody sees it when you accomplish something. No one
they're like, oh, you're overnight success. Yeah,
everybody's an overnight success, but it was 15 years of hard work and dedication. Yeah. But if we look at, like, if you talk about falling, like, do you remember that? Like, do you remind yourself of what you've had to go through to be here today?
Yeah, just like today, I was lifting with buddy Artemis, and I was lifting, and he was like, bodybuilding's your staple, like don't forget that. And like bodybuilding was like the one thing that made me feel like a monster, made me feel like a beast, made me like, feel confident, like, just doing that one thing that is kind of like your staple, and that you can't ever like skip out on. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love working out. It makes me feel so good about myself, and like it's such a great feeling, right? To go out to work. And what do you want to do with your bodybuilding? You want to keep going, because I know you competed.
Yeah. Eventually, when like the speaking is kind of like systemized and I just have to show up for events, I want to get back on stage for sure. Yeah. But right now, probably my biggest challenge is just staying in great shape while traveling. Yeah. And with like client dinners and everything, I just have to have more discipline. Yeah. But I definitely, it's a staple, right? I always want to look good naked. I always want to, just stay in great shape. And but I think, like I said, never skipping out on that staple. Yeah. I feel like I'd do a huge disservice to myself if I ever stopped lifting or taking care of my body, and it wouldn't go well with my message either.
Yeah. No. And like, I know you met The Rock. Can you just talk about that? Like, how did that experience change you? Because I really like The Rock, he's a guy from humble beginnings who worked his way, and he's still, I saw a post he did a couple of days ago or something like that when he was flying first class, but he said, I'm still eating the same dinner that I ate when I was in this small
Was it like
apartment.
chicken and rice?
Yeah, chicken and rice. So I just got like, oh, this guy really feels authentic. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet him in Las Vegas. I was in a City Athletic Club. It's a gym in Las Vegas, and he probably a couple months prior he had retweeted one of my lifting videos for a ballers contest, and so I already knew he knew who I was.
Yeah.
And so you know, I told my buddies, I was like, all right, let's not bother him. You know, he's lifting. We'll just do our thing. And
did you know that he was gonna be there or no?
No, I didn't know he was gonna be there, but when I showed up, he was there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let's not bother him. You know, if The Rock's who he says he will, he'll come up to me. And so we gave him his space, and he took off his headphones and was bombarded by pictures for pictures. And then his security guard came up to me and was like, are you Nick? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can Dwayne meet you? And I'm like, yeah, dude, for sure. Bring him over. And so they escorted us into a corner, and they brought him over, and he, you know, was like, dude, I'm such a big fan. Like, can I get a picture? I'm like, come on, man. You know, so like take a picture with the guy. And I told him, I was like, you know, I'm going to do what you did. And he said, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, you're the Rock, right? People knew you for football and then WWE, and then you took over every industry. I was like, I'm going to take over every industry that I touch. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do speaking. I'm going to do modeling. I'm going to do bodybuilding. And he said, Nick, you're right, because people like me and you, they put us in any industry, and we adapt and overcome. And so it was just like, you know, a moment of reassurance that I was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that like what I was doing was, you know, inspiring and motivating people. And so we took that picture. I was 2 weeks out from my competition. And so I took that picture, and then 2 weeks later I was competing. I was backstage, and he posted me on his Instagram, and he wrote the really long, heartfelt message. And at the end he said, I want to thank Nick for sharpening my perspective a little bit more on life. And just a big confidence booster and a moment of reassurance for me, right? That if I can impact and change the perspective of like top tier athlete, actor of the world, you know, that like I said, I may not have legs, but I'm here to make a massive footprint in this world before I leave. And so, yeah, I'm pumped up that I got to cross paths with him. And so on the vision board and the manifestation thing is like, I want to have a movie with him. I want to do something big with him in China too, because they love him in China and they love me in China.
That's awesome.
That'd be sick, right?
Yeah, that'd be sick. And I mean, like you want to take over all these industries, and it's incredible. Can you just share, like, do you have like any other big goals except for like that 100,000 people in China? What else do you want to do? Like,
yeah, I want to fly private in 3 years.
yeah.
I want to be able to fly private in 3 years. We do speaking is really picking up. And we're always flying, and so I think time is very valuable. And so once we're able to have the kind of like the freedom to jump wherever we want, wherever we need to be, I think that's a big game changer. So for all you entrepreneurs out there, I want to fly private in 3 years. But I also want to dabble into, you know, the music industry. I love hip hop, I love rap, I love singing, and so I kind of want to put my personal development swing of things into, you know, rap music, so we can, you know, motivate and inspire these kids, and they're listening to rap music and they don't know that we're like planting great seeds in their head about mindset and, you know, all these positive things. And so I want to start touring and rapping and singing and doing that and motivating people that way. And then, you know, taking over the modeling industry, you know, being one of the top, you know, models, and basically being a kind of like a billboard for embracing your authentic self. The most attractive thing you could be is different. And so taking over, bro. Yeah. That's my goal. That's my goal, is take over everything, you know, everything I touch, and maybe acting when The Rock's ready for me.
That's awesome, man. I only have 2 more questions to you. And I just want to say I've had an amazing time with you here. So thank you so much.
You got it, bro. No worries.
Imagine you're 87 years old and you're looking out maybe over this view or your
Let's see the Amalfi Coast.
Yeah, the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and you're reflecting on your life. What do you want to have accomplished to be able to say, yeah, there was a good run?
That was a good run. That's dope. Family's taken care of. Yeah. Like, my kids are doing what they want to do, first and foremost. Like, they're pursuing whatever they enjoy and whatever that, you know, whatever fires them up. That I took care of my parents before they went. My siblings are taken care of, you know. my friends are still around. You know, we're all still doing the same thing. You know, goofing off, traveling the world. But that just people all over the world just are more awake, right? Are more like, you know, like that we've inspired so many people to just shift their perspectives and look at the world differently. I want to do a lot of contributing. I probably wanted to say, like, probably build some schools or something, and, you know, like, instead of being like, you know, just an influencer, I want to be like a Gandhi, like really big. And so when I'm looking over the Amalfi Coast, I'm probably like, all right, well, the family's taken care of. My kids are set. They're more successful than I'll ever be because they're studs. And, you know, my friends are taken care of. We're probably riding around in our hover rounds all together in a wheelchair gang. I don't know, man. I'm
awesome.
just
fulfilled.
I'm fulfilled. Man. Yeah,
Listen,
like I'm
look
good.
At that guy.
You know,
yeah.
I'm just chilling as long as I have some good food in front of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to be known for just like, holy shit, that guy gave so much.
Yeah.
That guy gave everything he could while he was on this planet.
Gave.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Say, give. Like when we give, something magical happen, right?
Yeah.
And you're giving so much. So yeah, thanks again. And the last question to you, Nick, I must say Santonastasso. I must say it again. Boom. We're all about sharing journeys on this podcast, but at the end of the day, what I want to do is to get the people watching and listening to this to improve their life. So if there's just one thing they can do right now when they're done to get started on their own dreams, what would be your best tool for that?
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So what I mean by that is, whatever industry you're in, right? Whether you want to build a speaking company, whether you want to become a better salesman, whether you want to become a better mom, a dad, go find out who's doing it very well and model them. Go learn from them. Go learn from what they're doing right. Go learn from what they're doing wrong. But get started. You know, just get started. You know, just do something. Especially with the internet, you know, we have the ability to learn whatever we want to learn and implement it into our lives. And so, you know, even if you have no experience, I didn't know how to build a speaking company. You know, we started reading books on how to build a speaking company. We started modeling people that were great at speaking. Like, I'm not no guru. I'm not no like genius. I'm just, you know, I didn't reinvent the wheel. I just like modeled people and learned, and always being in the state of a student, you know, and in order to do that, you have to drop your ego and realize you only know what you know. And so always be in the you know, the mindset of like, I can learn from this, you know, I can learn from someone, I can learn from this event, you know, like realizing like you can learn from anyone. Never like take anything, you know, for granted, right? Like any opportunity or anyone talking to you and trying to give them their opinion, just always be in the state of like a student. Like never stop learning. Like never think you're good enough, never think you're the best in your industry. Like always be striving to improve. But like I think most importantly, right, like don't reinvent the wheel. Just figure out who's crushing it in your industry and start learning from them.
That's awesome. Nick, thanks.
You got it, brother. No worries, man.
I'm super grateful
for the opportunity.
Yeah, this was an amazing time.
Kicking it in West Hollywood.
Yeah, kicking it in West Hollywood. A beautiful night. You're here. We're here with our crew. You're here with your crew. It's amazing. Thanks again. And thank you, everybody, that you took the time to watch and listening to me and mainly Nick Santonastasso sharing his journey. I Love Success is about redefining success. And what does that mean? It means that you find your way of creating a happy and successful life. And we want to be on that journey with you. We want to share as much as we possibly can. So go to ilovesuccess.co, subscribe to our newsletter, get a couple of free chapters of my book. And also, my goal is to help 10 million people in 10 years to go after their dreams and actually make something good of their life. And I can't do it myself, Nick can't do it himself, but together we can do it. So if you like this, share it with your friends or someone that you don't want to share it with, but you know they're going to benefit from it, and just help us and be part of this journey called life and create something that you are proud of. Thanks again and take care. Bye-bye.